A very good evening to all our viewers on live interaction with global change makers. Today we have with us a very accomplished lady. She has worked in the space of infrastructure investment for 10 years and has been working in the CSR team of BMCI, Moroccan branch of BNP Paribas, since past 3 years. She was also working for Financecom and CDG Capital Groups, where she managed structuration, fundraising, and investment of two dedicated funds in energy, transportation, water, and social infrastructure sectors. She has also worked on digitization of ESG reporting and its alignment with the GRI norms. We would all like to welcome Ms. Chama Bennani from BMCI BNP Paribas branch, Morocco. Welcome, Chama.
Thank you very much, Harshat. Thank you for inviting me, and hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you today.
So, Chama, you have been in the core financial world, earning a degree of master's in economics and finance. What led to the transition to CSR and sustainability?
Well, this is a question that I have often been asked from the day I started working in CSR and sustainability. And you know what comes to my mind first is that I never quit finance. I didn't quit finance. I've just moved to a more responsible way of doing finance. And this is the result of a quest for meaning. So even when I was working in private equity, I was very sensitive to environmental and social issues because simply when you invest in a 25-year project, you don't want to end up to a disaster for surrounding population and by ricochet for the investors who trusted you and by putting their money in your hands. So for me, it's not a 90-degree switch, but it's just natural progress in the same sense that you see in telecoms. You go from 1G to 3G to 5G. So I'm now in one of those Gs.
Amazing.
And
yeah.
Another thing that I would like to add is that it is a trend here that I can see in the Moroccan financial market is that my other colleagues from CSR, the majority of them have a prior experience in the financial world. I think it makes sense because you have to understand the business to make it more responsible. And it's like in the same way, when you prepare an organic meal, I think you'd better be first a good cook. That's how I see things.
That's very well put across, Chama. I should say that. So, Chama, what are the CSR and sustainability initiatives that you have taken and are planning to take in BNP Paribas in Morocco?
Well, before deep diving into BMCI, CSR, and sustainability initiatives, let me just tell you how it all started. The CSR at BMCI began back in 2008 with the creation of BMCI Foundation to gather all corporate philanthropy activities towards solidarity and culture. So this is what I call CSR 1.0. This is really the first version of CSR. In 2012, CSR became a regulatory topic for our parent company, BNP Paribas Group. And it was from then required to report on extra financial data as a listed company. So it defined a framework and a dedicated governance for CSR topics. So this is how and when BMCI started working on its CSR strategy, which is pretty much inspired from the group strategy and the way ahead of being a regulatory requirement in Morocco. So what we are doing is that we pay attention to ensuring that our activity has a positive impact on the world around us in terms of the group's own functioning, but also through the products and solutions that we offer to our client by all business lines. So the United Nations 17 SDGs served really as a guiding force to define the 4 pillars and the associated engagement that the bank took in its CSR charter. We have 4 pillars. The first one is economic. We have social, civic, and environmental responsibility. So I will focus maybe a little bit more on the economic one, which has the aim to finance the economy in an ethical and responsible manner. So it's really about not being exposed to sectors that have a negative impact on the environment and the society, such as tobacco that we have exited in 2018, and the coal sector that we aim to exit by 2040. So we have 2 levels of analysis: excluded sector and monitored one, to find with the objective. The global objective is to fight against climate change, deforestation, and also to protect human rights. So we have dedicated the policy for example, agricultural sector, paper pulp, palm oil, mining, and so on. So for this sector, we have a detailed ESG check to make sure that the companies or projects comply with our minimum CSR requirements, which are considered to be the best practices in their respective markets. So from one hand, we would like to minimize our negative impacts, and from the other hand, we are trying to push positive impact financing and all products related to sustainable finance by addressing 3 priorities. The first one is climate, the second one is social and women entrepreneurship, and the third one is financial inclusion. And I would like to give some example of what we did in this 3 axes. We have negotiated a partnership 3 years ago with the EBRD, so the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, around green economy. So we can now offer to our clients one dedicated financing program for their green investments. That comes with the above financing. It comes with the free technical assistance, and it also comes with a 10% subsidy of the capex to the final clients. So it really encourages our clients to invest in green sectors and minimize their impact, and give a push to their decarbonation process. So that's one of the product we have launched as part of our CSR strategy. We also have a program dedicated to women entrepreneurs, which is called Women in Business, which has also 3 parts. The first one is the financing. The second one is that it gives us the opportunity to finance women entrepreneur without asking a lot of guarantees, because we have seen that in the market, women are less able than men to provide such guarantees for their financing. And the third one is training, mentoring, and coaching for women entrepreneurs. And we have many other partnerships for social entrepreneurs. We support a global association to finance entrepreneurs that not only see the economic targets, but also that want to have an impact around them and came with solution for environmental or social issues. We also, this is from the client parts. For the suppliers, we also want to make sure that our suppliers comply with our ESG standards and requirements. So we have a dedicated policy for our supplier. So that was the first pillar of our CSR strategy. The second one is the social one, by improving our employees' quality of life, enabling them to develop new skills and competencies. And gender equality and diversity are really among our core values. And our HR department is responsible for achieving the KPIs that have been defined to monitor this pillar. So we are not only addressing gender through our products, but we also work on having really best-in-class gender policies in our bank. The third one is, can you still hear me, Harsha? I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. The third one is the civic responsibility. And it set an example as a responsible corporate by contributing to society through local initiative, which are led by our foundation. And by the way, I have just been recently appointed as head of company engagement, just after sending you my bio. So I have now under my umbrella CSR and also corporate philanthropy, which is at the core of this civic pillar. The fourth one is the environmental pillar, by reducing our direct impact of our businesses and making environmental quality a material driver of our performance also. So we annually measure. We participate to the group measurement campaign of greenhouse gas emissions linked to our buildings and business travels. We also monitor water and paper consumption, and we host an internal event every year, which is called the Sustainable Development Week, to raise awareness among our workforce and toward SDG, and through activities, seminar, workshops, to really make them aware of what's happening as regard to climate, to social issues, etc. So this strategy has been updated following a materiality study that we have performed back in 2019, when we assessed and we wanted to better understand our stakeholder expectation and to set up specific KPIs to be monitored for each CSR pillar. And last, maybe two last things. I know I've been long for that question. There are so many things to say. Our CSR approach is appraised annually by international rating agencies such as Vigeo Eiris. And in 2021, BMCI has been ranked second bank in the emerging market world. So we are pretty proud of this ranking in our bank. So I've said that we started with philanthropy for CSR 1.0. Then we structured our approach with CSR 2.0. And now it's the time for CSR 3.0, by formalizing a company purpose. So our parent company formalized a text that serves as a reminder of its mission as a bank and of ethics. So our group is now really committed to CSR and see it not just as a moral necessity, but as really fundamental to how we do business. And at BMCI, we are also taking this step further with the engagement department that have been created last year to work on a new engagement strategy in line with the new mission of our group, and with the common aim to become a leader in sustainable finance in the next few years.
Wonderful, Chama. That's a whole lot of activities you've been doing. And I really appreciate the initiative, especially for the women entrepreneurs, because being one, I know how difficult it is. And yes, I would agree. I have bootstrapped it all the way until date. I'm still bootstrapping it. So it's quite a tumultuous journey, but yes, it's. I hope someday they would understand what social entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs, how important they are in the space that we are. And
Mhm.
on the climate factor, it's amazing work that you all have been doing. So it's really appreciated. So when you all fund businesses, what are the non-financial parameters that you see? Or even for a woman entrepreneur, when you all fund them, what is the non-financial parameter that you see the mainstream business as well as to any social entrepreneur?
Sure, yeah. So we are checking many non-financial parameters, and we base ourselves on publicly available information and statements and reporting that are communicated by the businesses. So we have four main parameters. The first one is the social one. So we really want to check that the business is not involved in controversial social practices such as child labor or forced labor. We need to make sure that our clients respect labor rights and working hours, that has a grievance mechanism for their employees, that it respect the right of freedom of association and collective bargaining, uh, that it avoid any discrimination, and that has in place a health and safety management system. So that's for the social part. For the environmental part, we also check many things. We would like to know if the business is monitoring environmental KPIs, such as air emission, waste production, and water consumption. That our client has implemented technologies to reduce its consumption of resources, and that it doesn't have, and it's not implemented in any protected area as regard to biodiversity, for example. One point is also important for us when we do that check is the certification. So we check that the client has a relevant certification, such as ISO 14001, etc. It allows us to have adequate assurance about the quality of the management system that are in place within our partners. We also see if there are any ESG controversies based on research on public media websites, whether the business has been involved in any ESG related controversy, incidents, scandal, any kind of that thing. So really at BNCI, non-financial parameters are as much important as financial parameter. So we really want to have an ESG risk management that can address the main issues as regard to the sector they perform in. So for the moment, it is limited to our corporate clients, but in the next coming years, we are thinking on how to make sure that also for physical clients and retail banking, how we can measure this aspect too.
It's very good to see the developments. Do y'all also focus on packaging? Because lately I have been raising cautious about the end products that these multinationals are giving, and the packaging is usually a challenge. and though they are rating the highest on all the coveted indexes, this is a basic thing that is usually overlooked. Do you all also check that?
Yeah, actually, this is very good question, because it's true that you can rate high, very high on such indexes, and it doesn't mean that you address all ESG issues. I think that there is no, personally, I think that there is no risk zero. I think even with the best technology commitment practices, what is really important is to put in place remediative measures, keep on improving and moving forward.
Okay.
So regarding BMCI, our ESG reporting, it just named in itself. It's mainly a tool that we can share with our stakeholders. We can share our concrete commitment, measurement, results related to all the efforts that we put in place in managing the different ESG issues. So we really have to keep in mind that priorities have to be set for different topics based on the materiality. And we have on one side the materiality, on the other side we have the available resources. So that's a
Yeah.
difficult equation. We,
Yes.
yeah. So at last, we
At
really,
times, many a times
sorry, just go
profits
ahead.
are looked more than the products.
Can you repeat again? Sorry, I didn't get it, Harsha.
Many a times profits are looked more than the products.
Yes, sure. I think there is this traditional vision of risk and return, and there is the third parameter that is often forgotten, which is impact. So this is a matter of mind changing, and how how the mindset are made. Like when you start seeing impact, I think you can see many kind of impact. There's not only finance that matters. Really, what you create around you, what can be created in terms of employment, what subject do you address? If you really take an issue, an environmental issue, and that you come with a project that gives a clear response to that. I think the financial part is not visible, but it can be measured in the future years, I think.
Yes, so true. We would also like to know more about your project, digitization of ESG with GRI.
Yes, sure. Um, we started thinking about digitalizing our ESG report 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, it was in 2019, for three main reasons. Like I think we all know how tedious it is to provide and to realize an ESG reporting. It requires a lot of time, energy, really during each annual update. And you have to update your KPIs, your targets, how you measure them. You need also to keep track of the compliance of the reporting with your international ESG reporting standards. So we have chosen to align with the global reporting initiatives 1 year before we got digitalized. And that can be quite challenging to keep track on the compliance with these standards. And the last reason is that we are assessed every year by external organization on the quality and content of this ESG reporting. So this platform, and I invite you all to get in bmci.easyvalue.com. it enables permanent public access to a report that is continuously updated. So it means that it's very dynamic. Every time we have a new CSR action or engagement, it is actualized on that time. It is also, I think personally, that it's well structured. It's user friendly also. It shows in a clear manner our engagement, our CSR 4 pillars, all the action that goes in each pillar. And we have also a dashboard of more than 200 KPIs that we use to monitor extra financial performance of the bank. So I think, yeah, it's easy to read. It gives to our stakeholders information that is updated, well presented, and it allows more fluid interaction with the organization that are assessing us, like VGO or AMMC. So really, the probability of missing required information is very low with this digital format. And we have been awarded last summer, I think. We have one of the best reporting, ESG reporting in the financial sector.
Congratulations for that. It's quite an achievement. You could foresee the digitization world coming together. Uh,
Yeah.
Chama, as we earlier spoke about, many of the companies are rated very highly on many of the coveted indexes, and they have full-fledged ESG report, full-fledged CSR team working all the way on the ground, and we can't negate it because they are all doing good job. But many of them fail to address simple issues on plastic and non-recyclable products. And even if they make, some of them make recyclable products, the waste management situation across the globe by the governments is not very appreciable, or we can't really appreciate, because they'll dump into landfills or in the sea. So do you emphasize, when you are planning to invest, do you emphasize only on the reports, or do have some due diligence mechanisms, and if so, what are they, and what are the other factors that you would invest in?
Sorry, Harsha, I just missed the last part of your question. If you can
So,
repeat.
would you invest in a company only on the basis of the reports that they are presenting, or their rankings on the ESG or other such indexes? Or would you also have some kind of due diligence work, or
Okay.
do you all look at what are the other factors apart from the reports and the rankings and the ratings that they are getting? What is the other process?
Yeah, as I previously told you, is that rating high on such indexes does not really mean that everything is addressed. When we finance a company, we focus on the declaration of the clients. We can also perform site visit if needed. But as long as you cannot audit an ESG report, like you can audit a financial one, you have companies that can certify that the financial KPIs that you are telling to your stakeholders are reliable. You can only rely on the information that the client provides to you, and to what he declares, and to what you can see when you perform a site visit. I think site visits are important because you can see many things that are not written on the report. So it's a way to limit the risk that we are taking. But I think it will come in the near future that you will have agencies like VGO or other or Moody's. I don't know, but or that will certify ESG report. I think that gives really good assurance.
That's excellent. I mean, doing field visits is something that should be of paramount importance in the times that we live in. So, Chama, how do you see the responsible investments would shape in the coming times internationally?
I am pretty sure that it will grow faster than ever, especially after the COVID-19 crisis. For me, there are four main reasons. The first one is that investors are getting more and more aware of the need for urgent action for climate change or also for social like education, health. There are many urgent need and investors are getting more and more aware. And this will really influence and drive corporate behaviors, to my understanding. Also, clients, they will focus more on financial products that have a true impact. And I think that we have seen that with the product that we have launched with EBRD for green financing. This is something that is really appreciated by our clients. When a client put his money, his saving in a bank, I think he will require a good transparency and would like to know where the funds are used and how they are used. I think this will also drive and shape the financial sector in the coming years. The third one is that regulatory bodies are more and more asking for information on how companies integrate ESG and how their investments contribute to sustainable change. And this will be made possible, I think, with the access to more tools and more ESG data, which is lacking sometimes nowadays. We have really difficult access to data. When we will get tools and data to measure the impact and align all portfolios on Paris Agreement, for example, I think this will really drive responsible investment.
Excellent. My last but not the least question, CSR is a dedicated institution for capacity building, project implementation, advisory for responsible business leadership. What are the gaps that you see that the executives have today and in the future business leaders should have?
I think that's a key question because really training is essential in supporting positive impact initiative. What I can say in the several study that we have seen on that on what matters for Moroccans, and what we can see is the S of ESG, which mean that social aspects of their daily lives, like education, like health, is very important to Moroccans. They are traditionally tight and supportive of each other. What is missing, what needs to be upskill is the environmental aspect. Today is the expertise of very few, and it's still not extended to everybody. So maybe what people in my country may need is an easy to understand environmental language around climate change, around biodiversity. I think it's what can be done for the moment.
Excellent. Any final message to all our viewers who are watching now or who would watch tomorrow? Any final message to the viewers who are watching it now or who would watch the recorded version of it from your
I
end?
would like to thank everybody for listening. I hope you have discovered interesting information, and I'll be happy to chat with you on LinkedIn or anytime as regard to ESG matter, because really it comes from my heart. I really like what I do, and always feel happy to share with anyone interested.
Thank you so much, Chama, for joining us today. It was really a very insightful session, learning about your initiatives and knowing about responsible business leadership. We look forward to continuous engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.